There are many great fights that could happen in Hunter x Hunter, and Kite vs Kurapika is definitely one of them. Kite has been shown to be portrayed as a very skilled and experienced Nen user, far stronger than both Gon and Killua during the beginning of the Chimera Ant arc. Also, we do have to remember the fact that Kite seems very powerful and has powerful aura. He would intimidate almost any regular Nen user, but still, I think he is powerful, but I don't think Kite is as powerful as characters like Hisoka or Crollo. He probably is pretty close to them in power though. But Kite's ability is Crazy Slots, which gives him any random weapon, which could either work in his favor or work against him, depending on who he's fighting. He went up against Pito, and it seems he sort of held his own. Of course, this is just an assumption based on what we saw after the fight, since we didn't actually get to see it, but he lost his life during it, and at the beginning of the fight, lost his arm. However, if Kurapika had lost his arm, he would have just healed it with his holy chain. Even though Kite may be the more experienced and more skilled Nen user, with how consistent Kurapika is with his powers and capabilities in comparison to Kite, just because he has such an unpredictable and random power, you more so know what you're getting out of Kurapika, not only because he's been shown more and more in depth, but just because he has a more consistent power, whereas Crazy Slots is just so random and unreliable at times. Kite is also highly intelligent, but Kurapika being, it seems, even smarter, and this is why he got so good at Nen so fast. You also have to remember it depends who they're taking on, because both have superhuman abilities and powers that are separate from just Kurapika's chains or Kite's Crazy Slots. Both have superhuman strength plus speed and so on, but these abilities of theirs aren't the strongest ones they have by any means, and in these ways they aren't as good as some other Hunter x Hunter characters. Of course, Kite's experience and skill is going to play into the fight, and I think it's going to make it a very close fight. We have to remember though, Kurapika is only getting stronger, more powerful, and improving, and with the amount we got to see from Kite and his abilities and power level, even if it slightly surpasses Kurapika, I feel in a match like this, Kurapika would have the edge over Kite in a way, because you have to remember, just because somebody's more powerful, a lot of the time it depends on the opponent they're going up against. It depends on the matchup and how well they'll go up against the other opponent's abilities and powers. Many have this misconception that Kurapika can only use his chains on the Phantom Troop. However, this is false, and he can only use Chain Jail on the Phantom Troop, but his other chains as well as Emperor Time he can use against anyone, and Kurapika's strength and speed will increase as well as his durability with Emperor Time. It also seems he can levitate or fly while he's using Emperor Time, because during the Ubogen fight he was able to, and he's gotten more powerful since then. I think this is a bad matchup for Kite, but he could still win if he manages to get something good when he uses his Crazy Slots. He could get the win and beat Kurapika, as well as the fact he seemed to hold his own against Pito. Now, I think this fight could go either way, and either one of them could win against each other if they fought multiple times. When it comes to physical strength, I think they're around the same. Maybe the edge would be to Kite. Then speed, I also think they're pretty similar. However, we've seen more of Kurapika's speed, and I would guess he's probably a little bit faster. They are both very careful and cautious, and would be against each other in a fight, but like I mentioned before, I think Kurapika is smarter. Like, I think he's a faster thinker, a better planner, executor, at adapting to situations. But who would most likely win in a fight? I think Kite is superior. He's more experienced, more skilled, but with powers as overpowered as Kurapika's, and this just seeming like a bad matchup for Kite, I would say Kurapika would most likely win. Kurapika's powers with his chains are overpowered and would just work so much in his favor, as well as him having access to any type of Nen, using Emperor Time, and being very fast, as well as, like I said earlier, it seems he can fly while he's using Emperor Time. I think this would be an extremely close matchup, but if I had a bet on it, I would say Kurapika would most likely win. Maybe if we had got to see a little bit more from Kite or how he really did do against Pito, I would switch my mind, but based on what I have to go on, Kurapika wins. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Bye.